Hey, thank you once again, stewards, for joining me on another episode on Steward of Finance. Today we have a wonderful message, but before we get into the message, I would like for you to subscribe to this channel and also share this channel with someone else that you know can benefit from learning how to handle money and possessions and the resources that God gives us God's way. This is a wonderful episode today that I believe it will be a blessing to you and your family, so stay tuned. Welcome back to another episode on Steward of Finance. Today I want to talk to you about the 5 mistakes that most poor middle-class Americans make financially. As a licensed financial consultant, when I sit down with clients, I always see at least 2 or 3 of these mistakes that most of them make. And these mistakes are curable. So you could change your situation, but it takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of being intentional and also change. But let's get into the first mistake that most poor and middle-class Americans make when it comes to finances. Number 1, they make the mistake of not changing the way they think. As Americans, we've been conditioned to be consumers, which ultimately results in high debt. So we have to change the way we think when it comes to purchasing and spending, because that's what our country had conditioned us to do. And this is the result of instant gratification. Most Americans want to buy now, but don't think about later. When ultimately that's the main goal for building wealth. It's not only about preparing for now, but it's also about preparing for later when you retire. And the results for instant gratification normally end up with not enough savings and then not enough money to invest for later in the future. And also we have to change the way we think about working for money. We should never have to work for money. We should learn how to have money work for us. Learn to be of value. Learn to live within your purpose so you can have money work for you instead of focusing on working for money. And when you change the way you think, you change the way you live. You change habits. Most Americans have poor spending habits, poor saving habits, poor investing habits. So it's very imperative to change the way you think about things. Change your money blueprint, what you think about money and what money means to you. And number 2, most Americans do not save enough of their income. Building wealth is a long-term game. You have to save for the future. Most poor and middle-class working Americans, they believe of the get rich quick, what can I do to have massive gain in a short period of time? When the ultra wealthy always play the long-term game. So we have to learn how to play the long-term game in investing and saving instead of waiting to save the last minute to where we're older and it's harder to save. Most poor middle-class Americans do not have an emergency fund. 56% of Americans do not have at least $1,000 for any unexpected expense. So not only are they not saving, but they also not saving for emergencies, for a rainy day. And also for retirement. Saving is not just for now. You also have to consider the future for your retirement. I read a survey that said 32% of Americans have no retirement savings. So not only are they not preparing for the future and only dependent on Social Security, where Social Security may not support you for the rest of your life. That is why most Americans end up returning to work in their older age. So you don't want to start saving later in your years because compounded interest is the best thing you can take advantage of. Compounding interest is all about time. The more time that you have to save, the better the outlook of your future will be. So take advantage of compounded interest because this is your only way to become financially free. And number 3, most poor and middle-class Americans either don't invest or they invest poorly. When it comes to investing in society today, most people follow trends. And often when people follow trends when it comes to investing, they may experience a loss. And because of that loss, they end up being fearful to invest again. When investing is the only way to prepare for your future. So be careful with following trends because not every trend is beneficial to you. This way mostly harms you because not everybody knows how to invest. And because they don't know how to invest, they don't take advantage of compounding interest, as I mentioned. As Albert Einstein mentioned, those who don't understand it, they pay it, but those who do, they earn it. You have to understand the rule of 72. How hard is your money working for you? And because most poor middle class working Americans struggle financially, it's because they don't take advantage of the compounded interest. So learn how to invest. And don't be fearful of what others may think, especially if they're not fiduciaries or if they're not licensed, because that can affect your future when it comes to investing. And this mistake causes most Americans to trust others to invest for them without any knowledge. You don't want someone to invest your money for you without you knowing exactly what it's going to do for you, exactly how it can affect you. This is what happens where most poor and middle class Americans invest in 401ks or mutual funds. They don't really consider the fees, or they don't consider the portfolio diversification, or actually how taxes can affect those type of accounts. So you want to make sure you understand where your money is sitting and what type of account, and also what it could do for you now and also in the future. And number 4, most poor and middle class working Americans have very minimum financial education. Most of the time when I sit down with clients, I would ask them, when was the last time you read a book on finance or went to a seminar or a workshop? Almost 99% of the time, they would say, I haven't. I never read a financial book. I never went to a seminar. I never went to a workshop. We have to become intentional about finances. This is something we deal with every day. The educational system won't teach you. The banking system won't teach you. The government won't teach you true financial literacy. So it all depends on you to get the education that you need so you can become financially free. So make financial education a priority in your household. We have to become intentional on how money works and also how to handle money. And this is one of the biggest mistakes of all, because most poor middle class working Americans are living paycheck to paycheck due to lack of financial education. And number 5, most poor middle class Americans do not have a financial plan. It's like a GPS. How can you know where you're going if you don't know where you are? Most Americans have wishful thinking. They wish and they hope for something so amazing, but they don't plan to get there. Once again, you have to be intentional. You have to plan your way to success. Plan your way to financial freedom. And do not fear the subject of money. You have to face it. Money is an emotional topic, and it's really a reflection of who you are. When you look at your bank account, when you look at your investments, when you look at your debt, it tells you exactly how you are with money. And most Americans don't really want to see how ugly they are with money. But we have to face the facts so we can change our situation. And having a financial plan can save a lot of things. Do you know that 40% of marriages end due to finances? Finances was one of the top 5 reasons most people get divorced. So without a financial plan, it can be very detrimental to your financial future. Just as you plan for the gym, you plan for meals, you plan for church, you plan for Bible study. Just as you set those plans in place, you also have to plan financially. How are you dealing with the money that God gives you? A plan can alleviate a lot of stress, and it can get you on track to your financial future. So create a financial plan. I hope you took something away from this episode today. Finances is a topic that we need to consider in our everyday lifestyle, how we deal with money. And if you want to learn how to stop living paycheck to paycheck, this is your way. Change is possible. If you want to change your situation, you have to change the way you think. You have to change your habits. But you have to believe in your heart that change is possible. No matter where you are in your financial circumstances, you can change your circumstances with the help of the Lord. I want you all to consider becoming financially secure and also financially free. But I want you to commit yourself to setting up a plan, to becoming knowledgeable, to challenging your past thoughts of money. And I promise you that this will be a change in not only your life, but also for generations to come. But thank you so much, stewards. And And I want you to share this video with someone that you love, someone that you know that could benefit from this message to help them change their financial future and their children's financial future. But thanks again, and I look forward to speaking to you all at the next episode.